At the beginning of the movie, we are introduced to a couple named Beth and Harry, who have arrived at a breathtakingly beautiful and deserted island to celebrate their honeymoon. They chose this location to make their special journey memorable and adventurous, convinced that there would be no other human soul around. A sailor named Jackson arrives on his boat to drop them off. After unloading their luggage, he hands them a satellite phone and says, "If you want to head back home before the 10 days are up, just call me on this phone anytime, and I'll come to pick you up." Beth smiles and replies, "Why would we ever want to leave so soon?" With that, Jackson departs, leaving the two of them as the sole masters of the entire island for the next 10 days. Beth records every moment on her camera to preserve their memories. They are thrilled that there is no one to disturb them. However, they are completely unaware that this silent island is soon going to turn into a terrifying experience. After swimming for a long time, they fall asleep on the beach. But when they wake up, they are shocked to find fresh footprints in the sand, passing right by them. Panicked, they follow the tracks toward the forest, but after a short distance, the footprints mysteriously vanish. Though they find it strange, they dismiss it as a hallucination and get busy pitching their tent. As night falls, Harry goes into the woods to find dry firewood. There, behind some bushes, he discovers old bones. Looking at them, Harry wonders whether they belong to an animal or a human. Suddenly, he feels as if someone is watching him from the darkness, but when he turns around, there is no one there. He gathers the wood and returns to the tent. During dinner, Harry shows the bones to Beth. She remarks, "These probably belong to some large wild animal." They discuss it for a while, but soon forget their fear in conversation. As the night grows darker, they head inside the tent to sleep. In the middle of the night, a sudden rustling is heard outside. Harry goes out to investigate, but there is nothing but silence. Beth reassures him that it was likely just the wind blowing through the trees. The next morning, while Harry is bathing in the sea, he hears Beth scream. He rushes to her and sees her pointing toward a tree. Their clothes, which they had taken off the previous day, were hanging high up on the branches. They are terrified. It is now clear that there is someone else on this deserted island, someone who is hiding, watching them, and playing a dangerous game. They search deep inside the forest, but even after a long hunt, they find no one. They comfort themselves by rationalizing that it might be the work of a mischievous monkey. Later, they go fishing. Harry is about to step on a strange-looking fish when Beth shouts to stop him. Pointing at the fish, she says, "Be careful, Harry, that's a stonefish. Its spines are so poisonous that if you step on it, you could die within 30 minutes. I read about it in a book." Harry narrowly escapes a fatal accident, and they proceed to enjoy their fishing and swimming, at least for the moment. As they step out of the water, the sound of someone sobbing bitterly suddenly echoes from the depths of the forest. Following the sound, they reach a spot deep inside the woods where an old, dilapidated house stands. They are stunned to find a house on this supposedly deserted island. To investigate, they step inside, finding an old bed and scattered belongings. Overwhelmed by fear, Beth steps back outside, but Harry ventures further in. In a small room, he discovers a disturbing drawing on the wall, a girl murdering a man with a spear. Suddenly, Beth calls out to Harry from outside. She points out a grave near the house with a wooden cross that has the name Coral carved into it. They begin to wonder who this girl was and how she ended up here. They remain completely unaware that someone is watching them from behind the bushes. The couple returns to their tent, but the thoughts of the house and the grave haunt them. Beth begins scrolling through her camera recordings and calls Harry over. As they happily relive their island memories, they are suddenly struck with terror. They find a video recording on the camera that they did not shoot. Someone had recorded a private video of them while they were asleep. It was now undeniable. They were not alone. Beth is terrified and insists on leaving immediately. Harry tries to calm her down, suggesting, "Maybe it's just a prank by someone who snuck here while we slept." But Beth's fear doesn't fade. "Harry, this island is completely isolated," she cries. "Who would be here to pull a prank?" Harry hugs her, trying to comfort her and lighten the mood. Just then, the sound of a gunshot rings out. They rush to the shore and see two men on a boat in the distance, firing into the water to catch fish. Seeing them, Harry says, "Look, Beth, it seems other people come and go here too. We don't need to be so scared." Feeling somewhat relieved, they return to their tent. In the silence of the night, while they are talking in the tent, that same terrifying scream erupts from the direction of the old house. The sound is so bone-chilling it makes their hair stand on end. Harry tells Beth to stay in the tent while he grabs a flashlight and heads toward the house. As he approaches, his heart pounds. Just as he reaches out with a trembling hand to open the door, Beth suddenly appears behind him. Startled by her sudden presence, Harry jumps in fear. He tells Beth to go back to the tent and begins his investigation inside. There, he finds a dust-covered diary filled with handwritten pages. Just as he is about to start reading, Beth calls him outside. To their horror, they see that the wooden cross on the girl's grave, which had been lying on the ground earlier, is now standing perfectly upright. They are baffled. They assume it must be the work of the two hunters from the boat. Shaken, they return to their tent and eventually fall asleep. The next morning, they wake up to a gruesome sight. Several sea cucumbers have been hung all around their tent, looking incredibly eerie and unsettling. Harry realizes this is no longer just a harmless prank. He decides they must leave immediately, but then they discover that the satellite phone is missing from their bag. Beth cries out in a panic, "The phone is gone, Harry! How will we call Jackson now?" They go to the two hunters to ask for help and inquire about the phone, but the men do not understand their language. When Harry starts shouting in frustration, a fight breaks out, and the men begin to misbehave with Beth. Harry and Beth are forced to retreat. Later, when the hunters leave their camp, Harry and Beth secretly search their bags, but the phone is nowhere to be found. Risking his life, Harry swims out to the hunter's boat. He tries to contact Jackson using the boat's radio, but the signal is too weak. Suddenly, one of the hunters returns to the boat and knocks Harry unconscious with a blow to the head. By nightfall, the hunters have tied Beth and Harry to a tree. As one of the men begins to harass Beth, the other hears a terrifying sound coming from deep within the forest. They both venture into the darkness to investigate. Seizing the opportunity, Harry unties his ropes and frees Beth. Moments later, the sounds of gunshots and blood-curdling screams echo from the woods. They see the two hunters fleeing toward their boat in terror. One of them is severely wounded. They quickly escape the island. The following morning, Beth wakes up and follows the trail of the wounded man's blood, which leads her back to the old house. She finds the diary again and begins to read it carefully. Harry arrives shortly after. With a trembling voice, Beth says, "Harry, what happened to those men last night is exactly what is written in this diary. It says that years ago, a girl named Coral was stranded here. 7 men found her alone, abused her, and brutally took her life. After her death, Coral returned as a vengeful spirit and killed all 7 of them one by one. According to the diary, she now refuses to let anyone who sets foot on this island leave alive. She harbors a deep hatred for men and grants them a painful death." Harry refuses to believe any of it, dismissing it as mere superstition, and walks away. But Beth feels every word in the diary is true. In an attempt to soothe Coral's spirit, she gathers sea flowers and begins to decorate the grave. Suddenly, the sound of bitter sobbing erupts from inside the house. Holding her breath, Beth steps back inside. On the other side of the island, Harry was sitting alone on the beach listening to music when he suddenly felt a presence behind him. He turned around, but there was nothing but silence. That night, when Beth mentioned Coral's spirit again, Harry became irritated. He argued, "If Coral's ghost really kills innocent people who come to this island, then why are we still alive?" A heated argument ensued, after which they eventually fell asleep. In the middle of the night, Harry woke up gasping from a horrific nightmare, which woke Beth as well. When they switched on their flashlight and looked outside the tent, the ground slipped from beneath their feet. 2 fresh graves had been dug right there. By the next morning, they sat helplessly on the beach. Beth was weeping in terror. With the satellite phone still missing, they were well and truly trapped. Suddenly, they spotted a plane in the sky. Desperate, they scrambled to gather dry wood to light a signal fire. Just then, Harry heard the ringtone of the satellite phone. Following the sound, he entered the old house once more. He was stunned to find the phone lying there, but as soon as he picked it up, he heard the savage, ghostly voices of the 7 men who had tortured Coral years ago. Hearing Coral's agonizing screams through the phone, Harry panicked and threw it down. At that exact moment, Coral's spirit manifested from the shadows. Before Harry could react, she lunged at him with a knife. For the first time, we see Coral's terrifying face before she vanishes in the blink of an eye. Evening approached, and since Harry had not returned, Beth went to the house to find him. The house was empty, but as she stepped outside, her eyes fell upon Coral's grave. Harry's lifeless body was hanging there. Coral had brutally put him to death. Overcome by the horrific sight, Beth collapsed and lost consciousness. The next morning, when Beth regained consciousness, Harry's body had vanished. Driven to the brink of madness, she ran to the beach and began lighting the wood on fire. Suddenly, she saw Coral standing atop the ocean waves. Beth ran toward her, screaming, "What do you want?" But in her frenzy, she stepped directly onto a poisonous stonefish. She collapsed on the sand, writhing in pain. She knew she had only 30 minutes left to live. As her life faded, she began to remember the beautiful moments she had shared with Harry, and slowly, her eyes closed forever. When the 10 days were up, Jackson arrived at the island to pick them up. On the beach, he was shocked to find 2 new graves. Distraught and confused, he headed to the old house to search for them. There, he found the diary. As he picked it up and began to read, Beth appeared standing right behind him. Beth was now dead, buried in a grave next to Coral's. She had become a vengeful spirit herself, destined to hunt anyone who stepped onto the island, just like Coral. And with that, the story ends.